What was the genesis behind this book?
Yes, the genesis was when we went into the shelter in place protocol in 2020, my phone began ringing off the hook. And I was hearing from CEOs across all industries. How do I lead in this moment? How do I motivate and inspire my people when we're not in the same place? How do I help people navigate the personal and the professional when it's all happening in, the personal context? How do we maintain, the journey that we've been on for diversity when people are not going to be together? All kinds of questions. And there were some observations that I took away from some of those conversations. First, many of those leaders had a measure of fear because now all of a sudden, in order to engage with your people through this medium, there had to be a level of authenticity in a way that you don't necessarily, or you hadn't necessarily had to have when you were all in the same place. Because if you were building your career in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, there was a prescription of how you got to the top. And if you followed the prescription, you pretty much got to the top. And you never really would have had to bring your authentic self into that environment in order to do that. Now it was being demanded by your core constituency because your core constituency employees are largely now millennials and Zers. And they demand as table stakes transparency, inclusivity, and feedback. So it was a whole different dynamic. That was the thing that really made me go ahead and write the book. I had been talking about the need for a different type of leadership ever since the fourth quarter of 18. That was the first time I started talking about it because that's when I realized that millennials and Zers were now the dominant population in the workforce and that their demands were very different than those of us who were boomers and older Xers. And here was the other dilemma. Most people lead the way they were led. So if you were growing up building your career in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, you had leaders that had the my way or the highway type leadership style. And that style was not going to work with this new constituency. So I said, I think I might have something to say here.